Lexus presents tennis on Sky Sports.
What a week it's been for British #1 Jack Draper, winning the biggest title of his career last night at the Indian Wells Masters. He wakes up today as the new world #7, breaking into the top 10 for the very first time. I'm delighted to say tennis commentator Jonathan Overend joins us now live. Jonathan, such a dominant performance in the final to beat Holger Rune. Has he taken you by surprise this week at all, Draper?
No, I don't think so, because for a while we've known all about Draper's potential to compete right at the very top of the world, and in my opinion, it was only a matter of time before he became a top 10 player. So he's got a week like that in him. He's got a run like this in him. He's certainly got a performance like this in him, as he demonstrated last night. It was emphatic. It was a demolition of Holger Rune, a player not far off the top 10 himself, someone who's won a Masters 1000 tournament before. But Draper thoroughly deserved it, played a brilliant final. It was strategically majestic, I thought, and he executed the game plan. What a great shot that was, right at the end from the overhead camera. And he's ticking off these career achievements one by one.
Yeah, and how is he doing it then? Because you said, you know, we've kind of known this has been coming. So what's changed to get him over the line, do you feel?
I think this year he's sat down with his team and they've worked out a really sensible strategy in terms of his schedule. Now, Draper over the past few years has struggled to stay fit for an entire season. In fact, last season was pretty much the only season he did stay fit for. So this season, having had a little niggle over the winter, which disrupted his pre-season training, that was a slight issue with his hip. He started this year by playing a really reduced schedule so far, only 3 tournaments. But at the Australian Open, he won 3 5-set matches in a row. In Doha, he made the final, and it took Andrei Rublev to stop him. And now in Indian Wells, he's won the title by just dropping a single set, and that to Alcaraz. So I really like the way he's mapping out his schedule for this year. He's working harder behind the scenes to make sure that he can trust his body when it goes long and when he's having to play back-to-back tournaments. And I think he's really in a position now where he feels he can do that. And, you know, it's a patient game, tennis. You're playing virtually every week. You have to be able to trust your body, and that doesn't necessarily happen right at the start of a player's career. He's still only 23. His best is undoubtedly still ahead of him, and the exciting thing is that could be for a decade or more right at the top.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? As well as beating Carlos Alcaraz, which you mentioned, you know, he did drop a set there, didn't he? It was a tough game for him, as it would be against Alcaraz. You know, his whole route to the final was sensational. Look at that. I mean, he got through some challenges, didn't he? Is this proof of how good he really can be then?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that first match after the bye through the first round against João Fonseca, only 18 years of age, the Brazilian, but he is the hottest property, I would say, in men's tennis among the teenagers. In fact, Fonseca actually yesterday won a title because he went on to play a challenger and claimed that, lifted the trophy. Brooksby in the third round, highly talented player who's had a lot of trouble in the last couple of years and has been off the tour, but he gave him some problems. Draper was patient, came through it. Fritz, US Open finalist last year, champion in Indian Wells 3 years ago. He dispatched him in straight sets. Ben Shelton, the exciting young American with the big serve and the huge game, which really tested Draper at the start of the second set. But again, Jack withstood the pressure and responded with excellent play of his own. And then really the highlight, the defeat of 2-time champion Alcaraz, his second career victory over Carlos Alcaraz, which set him up perfectly for that final, and the demolition of Holger Rune, who frankly looked a bit outclassed on the day, which is a problem for him. But for Draper, it absolutely shows that he can dominate the players around him in the ranking and beat those above him in the rankings. Exciting.
It is exciting. Look, you'd think that he'd been now favourite to win in Miami, but obviously the tour moves to clay. Will that be a problem for him, do you feel?
So Miami should be really good for him. Still on the American hard courts. Last year, he had a heartbreaking second-round defeat to Nicholas Jarry, I remember, where he really hit the wall. One of those matches, I think, which was a bit of a wake-up call for him. Amazing to think that was only 12 months ago. Then on to the clay. Now, the exciting thing for Draper here, sorry, there's a lot of excitement going on, you can tell in using that word in every answer. But on the clay, he's got very few ranking points to defend. First round defeat in Monte Carlo last year, second round Madrid, second round Rome, first round of the French Open as well. Had a few wins in Munich in between, but there are a lot of ranking points available over the next couple of months, starting in Miami and then moving on to the clay. So there's absolutely no reason why Draper can't make it even further up the world rankings by the time we reach the next Grand Slam, which is the French Open in May.
OK. Look, you know him certainly more than I do. He picked up just under £1 million for winning that tournament. Do you feel the victory will change his life in any way, or is his feet firmly on the ground?
Firmly on the ground. Absolutely. And one thing's for sure, let's just talk about the money for a moment. He will reinvest that back in his career, like any good businesswoman or man. He will reinvest in what sells, and what sells is his tennis. So whether that's extra fitness trainers, whether that's extra camps in the off season, whatever it may be, he will absolutely invest in this career to drain every last inch of potential out of him. He's that sort of hard worker. I'm sure he'll enjoy himself along the way. He deserves to do that. He's a Masters 1000 champion, and that's a rare achievement. But I think absolutely he will build on this, and we'll only see a stronger, fitter, better Jack Draper moving forward.
That's great news for us tennis fans. Look, just finally, I like to get a little bit carried away, but could we see him win Wimbledon?
Do you know what? I absolutely think he can win Wimbledon. I don't think we should be scared of saying that. I actually said at the start of the year that I thought a British player would make the Wimbledon final this year. Absolutely no logic behind that other than waking up in the middle of the night and sort of having a premonition. And Draper is the leading contender out of the likes of Bolter and Raducanu, who could do it. But Draper absolutely, in this sort of form, no one would want to draw him. Now he's into the world's top 8. That means that he only plays those players ahead of him at the quarter-final stage at the earliest. So that's a really significant little landmark in the rankings. Once you're inside the top 8, that's a big bonus at the Grand Slams. And it's on grass. It's in his backyard. It's a couple of miles from his home. It's absolutely perfectly set up. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he is a live contender, absolutely, for Wimbledon 2025.
Always lovely to talk to you, as usual. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thanks, Vicky.